It is Business and Finance here on Echo Television International. I am Rachel Tanze. In the past few weeks, we have seen that the Central Bank of Nigeria have taken drastic steps to stabilize the free fall of the Naira and to also add value to the Naira as against exchange rate to what we are seeing in the foreign exchange market. And one of the drastic steps they have taken is to go against the unification policy that was brought in by the president concerning taking away the parallel market and then having just one market determining the exchange rate, which is the investors and exporters windows, where supply and demand will be what will basically determine the exchange rate of our currency. However, the floating of the Naira haven't helped so far, where we have been seeing the Naira having an extreme free fall of up to 960 Naira per dollar, and the federal government, the presidency, the CBN together decided that the next step will be to bring back Bureau de Change operators. However, the market won't work as it was initially, as they're bringing a new operation mechanism to make sure that there is a limit in which the Bureau de Change operators can operate, a limit that they can go below when it comes to operation, and they can go above. We're looking at minus 2.5% to 2.5+% when it comes to transaction. And also one of the major ways for the CBN to be in control is that Bureau de Change operatives will have to give daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly report of transaction. And this is a way for the Central Bank of Nigeria to be able to keep their tabs on Bureau de Change and to make sure that they are still in control. However, the INE window have not been eliminated completely, but the free fall wasn't controlled by the INE window. However, now this drastic step, we have seen that in the week back, we are having the foreign exchange market closing in with the dollar, with the Naira against the dollar going back to as low as 750 Naira. Now, this is a drastic change in the exchange rate compared to almost 1,000 Naira to a dollar exchange rate. Now, this move so far have stabilized the currency, the Naira currency, precisely during the weekend. As it stands now, the dollar haven't gone, the exchange rate of the Naira to the dollar haven't gone above 757. Now, we are going to wait and see if this stabilization have come to stay, or is just a factor in the market that can't be predicted yet, or of course the new operative that the CBN have introduced is what is helping the free fall to stabilize, and also to see that not only are we having a stable exchange rate, but that the value of the currency is also going high. We are no longer encountering depreciation, but we are having the Naira gaining some value and also being stabilized as it is now. But then things can change within the week, and a few weeks from now the story can be different in terms of exchange rate. However, we are hoping that this new mechanism that the CBN have brought back for the Bureau de Change operatives to be able to operate. Now, we are talking about the black market still in existence. Now, in as much as this might have affected the plan of unification, that is having one exchange rate, we are seeing that this drastic move, in a way, directly and indirectly, have helped stabilize the exchange rate of the Naira currency, and we are seeing some value being added to the currency as it stands now. Now, not only are we seeing gains in the exchange rate, but we are seeing that our foreign inflows are rising by 17.5%. Now, one of the major strategies put in place by the Central Bank of Nigeria to help with currency floating and to improve the demand and supply of the dollar was increasing the daily transaction limit. If we remember, there is a release from the CBN that there is no longer a transaction limit. Before, it was just $1,000 a day transaction for the domiciliary dollar account. Now, when the floating began by the CBN, they removed that transaction limit and made it to 10,000 US dollar for daily transaction. Now, whether we like it or not, these have in a lot of way helped the inflow and the inflow of the country, and we are seeing that the reserves are increasing. Now, the surge in the FX inflow is a positive development for the Nigerian economy, as it indicates increased foreign investment and revenue generation. It means that now these steps taken by the CBN have given us increase, meaning the INE window that we clearly remember investors were very excited about it. Not only did they show their excitement, but they acted upon it. As we can see that it means there have been more foreign investment into the country and more revenue have been generated due to these steps. Now, with the INE window, investors welcoming the idea with a big grin, now we can clearly see that they took the advantage of the floating and inflows are on the rise. Now, the rise in inflows through autonomous sources suggests a diversification of revenue streams, including the country's reliance on crude oil sales, meaning what the CBN have been doing and what the government have been doing is to not depend only on oil, because we know that we import this commodity largely, and we are seeing that we've been having a surge in our in the exchange rate, the naira going down against the dollar, and that haven't helped. It means that we are no longer dependent solely on revenue generated by oil, meaning we are strictly and increasing our non-oil product exportation. Now, the CBN's role in receiving foreign exchange inflows on behalf of the government highlights the pivotal position in managing the country's foreign exchange reserves. Yet, despite every measures that the Central Bank of Nigeria have been taking, be it the floating, be it the INE window, be it bringing back bury the change operatives and creating new mechanisms, they have to in full control of currencies and exchange, foreign exchange precisely in the country, and these have made it in a lot of ways. This factor alone have been the reason we are seeing an increase in the inflow and even a rise by 17.5%, and hoping this is just a report that has to do with the first quarter of the year, the second quarter, the third in which we are in, and I believe that by the fourth quarter we will see another increase in the foreign exchange inflow. Now, when we are talking about the GDP growth of the country, there are many factors that can increase, and we are having this coming from the Ministry of Minerals and Solid Minerals, saying that solid minerals alone have the potential of contributing and adding over 50% to the GDP growth rate of the country. Now, for sure, that is a fact and is definitely achievable. We have over 36 states in this country, including the FCT, and all of these states are blessed with solid minerals. Now, with states like Nasarawa, Plateau, Kaduna, Ondo, Bauchi, Edo, Oyo, and Sokoto having the highest numbers of various solid minerals, every state and in the entire country can generate revenue from solid mineral sectors. However, the big challenge here is that the government at the state, both state level, federal level, down to the local government level, is not up to more than 50%. We can take it as high as 70% in control of the activities of mining in the country. Now, this is where the problem lies. And until we have a government, both at state and federal level, being able to be in charge up to 70% in control of mining, meaning there's no longer illegal mining going on in these states, we are having everybody who is interested to taking up mining, be it a country, be it a company or an individual, registering and getting the appropriate license and being approved to mine. Now, this means that these individuals or company will be able to generate revenue, be it through tax or some of the statutory taxes that are fixed for certain activities, and certain damages will be able to control that the state will come to spend more money or lose money in the process of trying to fix damage done by mining. Now, Niger State is the leading destination for illegal mining of solid minerals in Nigeria. The Nigeria Extraction Industry Transparency Initiative is the one responsible for this report, and they're saying Niger State is the highest when it comes to illegal mining in the country. Now, we have NAITI further stated that 5 other states, including Plateau, Ebonyi, Imo, Enugu, and Zamfara, were among the leading destinations for illegal mining activities across the country. The agency disclosed this is its latest report in improving transparency and governance for value optimization in Nigeria's mining sector. Now, it is stated that out of 6 states at the top of illegal mining list, yes, we've said Niger is one of the top, and one of the major solid mineral. We have lots and lots of solid minerals in Nigeria, and we have countries that are, we have states rather, that are mining over 10-15 solid minerals, and all of these minerals have different finished goods that they produce and are being processed. Now, zinc is one of the major solid mineral found in almost all of the 36 states in this country, and one of the major solid mineral amongst many that is unique to location that is being mined illegally. Now, what will zinc? Now, I'm picking zinc as one to make example for the many other resources that we are losing to illegal mining, and how the country can generate massive revenue from. Now, zinc is used to make things like brass, nickel, silver, and aluminum solder. We also have zinc oxide, which can be used to manufacture paints, rubber, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, plastics, ink, soaps, batteries, textiles, and electrical equipment. And these are all the things that we import into the country, yet we have solid minerals enough to be able to be in full control of all of these goods that we consume in the country. So you can picture an economy or a country where we are in total control of mining of just one mineral like zinc across the over hundreds of minerals we have and are aware, and we are still discovering more, and we are only harnessing the power of zinc, and we are able to stop importing these goods that we highly consume, and we are manufacturing in this group. Not only can we be able to see a 50% contribution to the GDP, but we are looking at a sector that can be able to compete alongside agriculture and also oil. Now, what is the G20 summit, and what does it mean for the future of Nigeria? The economic future, precisely because we know that the G20 is targeted for economic alliances and operation. And this year theme is that the world is one family. And this is by India, because they have been the host since November last year, 2000, and December rather, and they will be passing on to the next country, which is Brazil. But for now, the presidency of the G20 summit is India, and this is your team, that the world is one family. And we see that the president will be attending, but the big question and what it matters to us is not just that we are having the president going, but what does it mean? Now, let's remember that this G20, as many world powers, economic powers, including the 19 countries, now the 20th is the European Union, and Nigeria is not a G20 premium country. Let me put it that way. Now, what does it mean? Now, one of the main focus, we have 3 major focus for this year's summit, and it's spread across climate change, reoccurrences in the economy. But I believe that debt architecture, regulation on cryptocurrency, food and energy is what is the future of Nigeria, and I believe that that is what the president should be focused on. What is the debt architecture, and how are these developed countries planning to come in and step in for developing countries when it comes to debt? We have the president clearly stating that we are no longer going to be on a debt spree. borrowing or loaning spree, because we are using 90% of our generated revenue to service debt. Now, it is one thing to say we are no longer going to borrow. It is another thing to put things in place that we warrant that will warrant we don't borrow as a country. Now, this is the alliance we are looking forward to seeing that the president make with developed countries, to understand not only are we saying we wouldn't borrow, but what is this architecture, what is this structure that the G20 summit is going to create for developing countries concerning borrowing, concerning paying, concerning waiving all these debts, and concerning creating a system for developing countries that they will be able to manage debt and not be on a borrowing spree. Now, we have regulation on cryptocurrency. Whether we like it or not, digital economy is the future of Nigeria, and one which can be tapped is cryptocurrency. However, this is a very slippery one, and that is why it's important for us as a country to be keen to see what are the regulations that the G20 summit is going to bring, and what does it mean for Nigeria precisely. If we are going to adopt this regulation, how do we go about it that we have young technocrats and innovators that want to tap into cryptocurrency, be able to boost the economy of the country, because these regulations shouldn't go to an individual or empower just a few, but when this regulation comes, it should be able to build or boost an entire economy, not individuals. Now, this is key because we have a continuous high in internet fraud, and we have a lot of that damaging the name of Nigeria and also damaging our economy. But if we have a system put in place that will be able to regulate things like this, then it gives room, a better room and space for technocrats to be able to do the needful in a legit way and in a way that the economy will grow. Now, we're looking at food and energy security. Now, no matter how high the fuel pump price goes in Nigeria, as long as we have constant energy, precisely electricity, manufacturers wouldn't complain. Small medium scale businesses won't complain about the price of gas, petrol, or fuel, or whatever they need to power their machines, because there is a constant availability of electricity, power, precise energy at every point. And this should be one of the focus of the president, together with people who are with him. Strategic way to make sure that we have energy security in the country, that will be able to boost manufacturing infrastructure and be able to take small-scale businesses to the higher level that is expected. And when it comes to food security, I believe it is centered around agriculture in different form, be it livestock farming, be it crops. What are our cash crops? What are the major ways we can do to improve and all of that? And I believe that these major things that will be seen and taken up in the G20 summit is the economic future of Nigeria and what the government of the country should tap in. Now, OPEC found a way of cutting down daily quota of the production of crude oil per day, what countries like Saudi Arabia and the giants in supply will do to be able to bring back the barrel price high. We saw that at the first quarter of the year, barrel price of crude oil kept going down. It was as low as $70 to a barrel, and then we have OPEC coming out saying that we have to do something about it. And one of the major ways is that apart having cut from Russia, we saw that Saudi Arabia, another giant of oil producing countries, in April saying that we are going to cut down the supply of about 1.6 million barrels per day. And now this cut is beginning to help with the increase of crude oil price per barrel. We are having the Brent crude, the global oil benchmark, has risen to $89, the first time in 10 months. while U.S. Texas Intermediate rose to $85.95 a barrel. The increasing oil price has been said to be driven by cuts from Saudi Arabia and Russia. Now, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, leaders, which are expected to announce their next line of action in the coming days, and we have Saudi Arabia has taken the lead in efforts to maintain global oil prices, making large voluntary output cuts. Now, these cuts took place in April, and some members of the OPEC and its allies called OPEC Plus announced voluntary cuts amounting to 1.66 million barrels per day. At the oil cartel meeting in June, Saudi Arabia also made another voluntary cut of 1 million barrels per day from July, and we have seen that additionally other countries have joined into the cut, and we have seen that this policy, as simple as it may sound, taken by the OPEC has drastically helped in the increase of the barrel price to 89, where we were seeing it again going as low as 70, and OPEC was worried. At some point it was down to 60, and OPEC was worried because it can't continue like that, as we know that oil is the major revenue generation means for a lot of countries, and anything that will affect the price will mean affecting the revenue of these countries that are giants in production. And as little as this policy may sound, in April we are seeing that it has drastically taken up the barrel price as high as $89, which has been the highest in 10 months so far. Now we have $1 million question for the Nigerian government, which is, do Nigerians need palliative, or do they want their refineries to start functioning, as palliatives are still not rolling out yet? Of course, there is a need to reduce the hardship in the country, no doubt about that. We are seeing that the palliatives are not rolling out yet, and there is a need because based on statistics brought forth by the federal government, the presidency, we will not start seeing some normalization or stabilization in the economy as regard to firm price, inflation, and the exchange rate until the first quarter of 2024. How long will Nigerians wait before such stabilization start coming in and before the standard of living starts becoming better? Or rather than doing what not every Nigeria will benefit from, what about our refineries? If our refineries should function, we are looking at the system where everybody gets to benefit. We are not talking about palliative that the government have made a cut of how many households they plan to meet the poorest of the poor, with a statistics that is not yet clear to us, with a method that haven't been drawn out on how they plan to meet the poorest of the poor is not even rolling out yet, and we don't know how much households are going to receive. Well, we still have laments coming out that why are we not seeing our refineries functioning, because we have been made to understand that we have been saving over 400 billion naira as a result of not paying fuel subsidy, and by now we are looking at over 1 trillion naira in what we have saved when it comes to the subsidy removal. Now, with this money should go to making refineries that when we start producing our oil, we will be able to see that the fuel pump price is going low, and this is something that the entire country will benefit from, because eventually we will have inflation going down. Eventually there will be no need for importing the oil we consume in the country. We will just be focused majorly on exporting oil for the revenue we generate as usual. However, for what we consume, we will be processing it in this country, and with time having at least 2, 3, up to 4 refineries functional, we will be able to also export this refined oil, which means more revenue, and in just a little period of time we will be able to see that our economy is stabilizing. We will see petrol pump prices going low, diesel price going low, and eventually inflation being stabilized, and every other factor will follow suit. With this, we just hope that the government of Nigeria is having the same thought as every other Nigerian concerning what we really need Is it for the palliatives to roll out to about 12 million households, or is it for our refineries to be functioning, and with that, the standard of living will get to affect every single Nigeria, regardless of your status quo of being the poorest of the poor? And this is how far I'll be going on business and finance today. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.